With Near being down almost 20% in the past 24 hours, a lot of people have been asking me, what's happening? What's causing this? Now, I think a major reason why is because a major and very prominent figure within this space just sold all of his Near, which I'll get into in today's video, and I'll explain actually why I'm not concerned by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice, and even though I am not telling anyone to do anything. So just to give a background information when it comes to this, there's a person by the name of Arthur Hayes, right? Now, Arthur, he is the co-founder of something called BitMEX, which historically is really massive, right, as an exchange. And if we take a look at that right there, he is the former CEO of BitMEX. So naturally, if someone that prominent, someone that famous basically sells all their Near holdings, it's going to be a very big and monumental event, especially at a time like right now when the market isn't doing the best. Now, he also sold all of his hype, right? But he also sold all of his Near, allegedly. So this right here has caused a lot of great concern when it comes to a lot of people. And with Near, as of right now, being at around $2.40, naturally, the market didn't react that good because, again, Arthur is just really prominent. Him selling all of his Near, everyone thought, oh, wow, it's done and all this. But sometimes we have to consider Near going down as of right now. It's not like other projects out there are all popping like that. They're all doing so fantastic and Near is the only one having a pullback. That's not the case. And if we think about it, in a couple months' time, in a year's time or whatever, what's going to win? Are people going to care about Arthur Hayes selling all of his Near, or are they going to care about the fundamentals? Because keep in mind, people usually, when it comes to this space, they don't dwell on the past, usually. Case in point, take a look at Luna. Luna back then, when it had that crash and all that, everyone was like saying, wow, it's so bad. And it was actually, right? It was a very unfortunate situation. But what happened? Eventually, as time went on, Luna Classic, it kind of began to have this following for whatever reason. It began to have this, I guess, community that really liked it as a project. They don't think about those moments before, generally speaking. They think it's kind of funny in some cases, even though I actually don't think it's funny because that was actually not a good situation at the time. But some people out there have taken that situation and kind of used it as fuel to actually now care about Luna Classic, which now it has a pretty good community. So again, it showcases that when it comes to this space, sometimes people don't dwell on the past so much. So when it comes to a couple months later, or let's say a year later, people are going to care more so about the fundamentals. And if we take a look at Near, just like I mentioned in my previous video, it does make up the largest holding in Grayscale's decentralized AI fund. So we got to let that sink in. Near is a very prominent project in the AI space when it comes to this particular space, right? So a project like this is typically not going to be forgotten about so hypothetically easily, in my opinion. So that's not a concern for me. If anything, because my mindset is years anyways, I'm looking to dollar cost average once every approximately 30 days. So this is not a major concern for me. There's going to be speed bumps along the way, like I mentioned in my previous video. But what I care about is the narrative, because one thing we do know is that Near, it's very focused on AI. So we have to sometimes consider that right there is a very strong narrative when it comes to stocks. But if it happens to arrive when it comes to the space in a massive way, Near is waiting right there. It doesn't have to chase later on, doesn't have to try to work on things later on. It's already right there waiting. It doesn't need to chase later. So the thing is, when it comes to Near, it's already there. The fundamentals are there. It's already focused on AI. So when people like to say, oh, wow, when it comes to Near, it's underprepared, I disagree with that. It's actually pretty well prepared because, clearly Grayscale cares about this. Not to mention, Near, what makes it kind of cool and interesting, historically speaking, is the aspect of sharding technology. Now, is this the only one that uses an aspect of sharding technology, historically speaking? No. We take a look at, for instance, Zilliqa, which allegedly is the world's first ever sharding-based blockchain. Also, we take a look at Harmony, which has an aspect of sharding. Now, I could go on and on and on, but I'm just saying still, those are some examples, right? And of course, something like Near does have an aspect of that, historically speaking. But why does sharding even matter? That's the thing. Well, it's because through sharding, the network is split into multiple sections known as shards. And as a result, the workload on the network is distributed amongst these different shards. And again, because of that, it becomes very scalable. Just like I mentioned in my previous video. Scalability is very important when it comes to the aspect of AI. So that right there is really amazing. And Near actually has the fundamental qualities, in my opinion, to actually maybe receive mass scale adoption later. It doesn't mean it will, but I'm just saying it actually has the hypothetical infrastructure in my perspective. Now, people like to tell me that, okay, there's so many other options. Who cares about this? Well, the thing is, not every single project out there is going to be so focused on AI, much like Near. Now, Near initially, when I first believed in it, it was not really known for AI. Like, that wasn't something that came to mind. But eventually, as time went on, Near became more and more focused when it comes to AI in a more public sense, right? They started talking more about it, posting, and all this. So eventually, it became more and more known when it comes to AI. But there's nothing wrong with that because AI, if we think about it, kind of the wave of it kind of came recently too. And the fact that Near was, aware enough to actually focus on that kind of relatively early and start really being focused on it to the point that Grayscale even cares about it, that's really impressive in my opinion. Showcases how they know where the trends might be heading. However, people like to say, but yeah, the price isn't doing the best. Okay, if we think about it, yeah, sure, around a 20% decrease in the past 24 hours, but in the grand scheme of things, if let's say Near, for whatever reason, was around 2 times higher, so let's say it's around $5 as of right now, even if Near was over 2 times higher than where it is currently, $5 is historically considered actually pretty bearish when it comes to Near. So Near in the grand scheme of things is still down by quite a lot. If Near is at around $3, $2, $1.50 or whatever, it's still kind of low anyways. It's still at kind of low ranges. So it's not like Near going from $3 to $2 is like so bad. I mean, it's just historically not good either way. But if anything, is that a bad thing? Not really, because I am looking to dollar cost average. So if things happen to be low, I have zero complaints. That's the thing. Preferably, if I want to even accumulate, or dollar cost average, I should say, I want it to be low. It's like, for instance, if I walked inside a store, would I be happier if there was a discount or no discount? I'd like it better if there was a discount, right? It's only logical. I wouldn't complain about that. You know what I mean? And the thing is, people like to say, oh, but, the hype is gone when it comes to Near. Well, really? I mean, again, it's focused on AI. I don't think the hype when it comes to AI just disappeared. I don't think so. I think it's still there. It's just that this market, as of right now, isn't doing the best. So no matter the AI project or whatever project, it's kind of largely affected by the market conditions. Now, Near, of course, had a pretty decent recovery, right? Keep in mind, if we take a look at Near, not too long ago, it was hovering at around a dollar, 20 cents. Then it went to around $2.80, but now there's a slight pullback. But the thing is, if we consider that, the fact that Near even went from around $1.20 to where it is as of right now, it's a little bit impressive considering how it did that without the market conditions being the best, which kind of indicates as well that when it comes to the narrative, when it comes to AI in regard to Near, it's already kind of starting to set in a little bit. Now, of course, it can't do too much because the market still isn't doing the best, but still, I think it kind of showed a hint, right? It kind of showcased a little bit somewhat of this taste in regard to what Near could maybe do hypothetically later if that massive AI narrative were to kick in when it comes to this space and really set in. And if, let's say, we combine that with an altcoin season, it just kind of gave a little bit of a taste of what maybe we could hypothetically, who knows, see. That's the thing. But even regardless of that, Near currently is down over 3 times lower than back in December of 2024. So if it just even goes back there, I'm already going to Sizzler, the restaurant. I'm already there to kind of celebrate a little bit, which may sound kind of bizarre. People are like, why would you care about that? We're just, around 3 times lower than that. Why is that a big deal? Well, is Bitcoin 3 times lower than its all-time high? No, it's not. And December of 2024 is not even near its all-time high. You know what I mean? So when it comes to Bitcoin, if it goes back to its all-time high, people are saying, oh, it's fantastic, even though it's not even 3 times lower than that. But if Near goes back to December of 2024 and it's around 3 times lower than that, it's suddenly considered boring? No, I disagree with that. At the end of the day, the way you take a look at it, a hypothetical, let's just use an example of like 400%, right? A 400% movement, wherever I see it, at the end of the day, is still a 400% movement. I'm not going to complain either way. That's my mindset. It's not like I find it boring for one thing and exciting for the other. It doesn't make sense. It's like, for instance, if I try good food in a certain restaurant and I move to a different restaurant and that's also really good, like the food that they serve, it's good either way. I'm not going to complain. It's not like it's going to be good in one place and then lame in the other. No. So I kind of view it like that when it comes to this space. I think, you know what? A hypothetical 3 times movement at the end of the day is still around a hypothetical 3 times movement. I'm not going to complain. But who knows if it could even do that. But one thing I do know, though, is that I'm staying patient, I'm waiting, and I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to NieR moving forward. So I just want to say thank you for watching, even though I am not telling anyone to do anything.